Episode 60, The Perfect PomPom. Hi, welcome to the Pink Hair Girl podcast. My name is Sally Jane, and today I have a very exciting guest with me. I'm very honoured to have you this side of the camera because you don't like being this side of the camera, do you? No.
I'll try to maintain a calm persona, but no, I really don't.
So yes, we're very honoured. This is my very good friend Clare Devine.
Hello.
It's so nice to have you here.
It's good. It's good to be here. It's good to be
What always surprised me is how small the knitting world is in some ways, or how small the world is in general actually. But what's really funny is that people that met you when you were in Edinburgh didn't realise that we actually knew each other beforehand. People were like, oh, how do you know Claire? How do you know Claire? You know.
Or sometimes people on my Instagram I'm so glad you and Sally will be back together, and I'm like, wow, okay. Yeah, no, it's cool. It is a small world. Yeah. It is, which is a brilliant thing, I think. But I think the world is a small place as well. You know, it's huge, but small at the same time.
So Claire and I have known each other for a while. She was in South Africa, and so we were on the same knitting communities and forums, and here, here. And we'd met, even though she was in Joburg and I was in Pretoria. And then you went to England for a bit, to Scotland.
I did. I went to Scotland, because people who like the cold should totally move to Scotland. It's a really sensible thing to do. Who don't like the cold, I don't like the cold. Though I do like knitting, but I don't like the cold. So we moved to Scotland. And that was sort of, we're not really forever settled people. But Scotland was supposed to be like a sort of a stop and wait sort of place. And we settled and we really loved it. And then Liam lost his job. So then we moved again. And we actually decided one very, very cold December day in 2013, at the end of 2013, we walked down Leith Walk. So anyone who knows Edinburgh knows that it's like a wind tunnel of Arctic freezing. And we are... While my parents are English, I'm very much a sun-loving South African, and we sort of just looked at each other and went, we should go to Australia, because my husband's Australian, his mum's Australian, so we were like, yeah, we're going to go to Australia, yep. So yeah, it was a little bit of a rash decision, but and now I'm 3 days short of going to Australia.
So I mean, while it was a rash decision, I mean, it's now 2016. It's taken a long time to.
It has.
It's a process of getting to the point where you can make a big move like that.
Well, yes and no. So we'd been to Australia before, and the last time we went, I'd moved back to South Africa, and we decided that all life was far too boring and responsible. Yeah. And I sort of came home from work one day, and my husband, they were making redundancies, and they weren't going to make him redundant. He seems to have a string. He's very good at finding jobs, but everywhere seems to make people redundant. I'm not sure. Don't hire Liam if you want to not make redundancies. And we decided we were going to Australia, and 2 weeks later we were on a plane and we went. But then we didn't have a child. So in December we were like, we should go, and we sort of did our sums and we're like, we can fly there, and then we won't have any money. Yeah. And then we were like, oh, actually we have this little kid, and maybe we should be a little bit more responsible. So we stayed and we saved and we planned, and so then at the end of last year we left the UK. We've been here for a little while defrosting, and then he went 3 weeks ago. So it's been a long time coming. Probably the most planned move I've ever made. I've moved a lot.
But kids does change the way you move. I mean, I went to the UK also. I think we decided really quickly, and sort of 3 weeks later we left, sort of thing. So it's very different when you've got children.
I think sort of I remember when we were in Brisbane before, we sort of got down to our last $50, and we were a little bit we both applied for jobs, and we both were quite employable and stuff, but we did sort of think, oh, this is really not very good, we're going to have to go to our parents cup in hand and be like, we're grown-ups, but then we got jobs and it all fell in place. But I don't want to take that risk with a kid, because it's not really that sensible. I'm so old and sensible now. That's me.
I was thinking the other day, I'm nearly 40, and I was thinking, I don't know if I want another big move, and I'm 40, but I want to travel, I want to see stuff. And so part of me was thinking, I don't want to move because I'm getting close to 40 and therefore I want to be settled. And the other part of me, I'm nearly 40. I have to do more stuff. I've got to go. I've got to do something else, you know. So, yeah, I think I'm always going to be fighting that need to be going off and doing the next thing. So, but yeah, once you, I mean, I've got 3 kids in tow now, so that makes things interesting.
It's okay. Extra means to carry the bag.
Exactly.
Do you know what I have realised is I'm slightly annoyed because obviously now maybe 3 we have to pay for her flight, which is really expensive. You're like, oh, it's like a whole nother adult flight.
Person, yeah.
And then you're like, but that's a whole nother adult baggage
allowance, yes.
And then she has a lot of stuff. It doesn't weigh 30 kilos. So,
that is true.
I'm like, here's some yarn, you know, and here's some other stuff.
Well, everyone knows that watched my podcast that when Caleb went to England with my dad recently, he had his small hand luggage bag with his stuff in it, like his clothes and his stuff was in the entire suitcase there and back was everything for me, stuff I was sending to people when he got to England, and stuff people that were sending back, and it was just insane. The poor boy had this small hand luggage. I just said to him, but you can wear more clothes, put more clothes on.
I did send so when Liam went, he obviously had 30 kilos, and he sent 2 bags, and one of them was just packed with like yarn and samples, and like as he was leaving, I was like weighing his bags because we'd sort of moving, we really had to use like every last gram in those bags, and I sort of weighed his hand baggage, and I was like, actually, this is not 7 kilos. Hold on a second. Like grabbed my big Stitch dictionary, like shoved it in his hand baggage with his laptop. I thought if they open his bags, they're going to be like, oh, so you like sewing, knitting, and small children's toys, right? Cool, in you come. So yeah.
And so, I mean, a lot of people know you. You've got a very big following, but there might be some people that, you know, that we don't always overlap. You know, there are people that know one of us or the others. So for those of you that don't know, Claire is a knitwear designer as well. And do you want to tell us a little bit about your design journey, where you're at, where you're going?
It's been an interesting path. It was actually the other day when we were meeting with Calgary Blues, a yarn dyer in Cape Town, that I sort of realised how far I'd come. So I sort of started knitting in Australia while I was travelling, which is another sort of random story. But my grandmother was a knitter, but I grew up in South Africa, so there wasn't like a huge amount of knitting going on when I was a kid. And so I started knitting, and then we came back to South Africa, and I had this small baby, and I was quite bored. So I was busy, obviously, because I had a small baby. But like I found like my mind was quite bored. So I said to a friend of ours, I was like, oh, I'm pretty bored. Like I need to do something that I don't have to go out to work and do something. She said, oh, you should design some baby socks, which I did. And it was a really interesting process, and I really enjoyed the whole sort of construction and technical bits and working all the bits and pieces out. It appealed to my sort of Excel-loving geek side.
But you're also a teacher. You love teaching.
Yeah, so I'm a qualified teacher. So I really enjoy sort of like teaching and doing things, and I found that, you know, like putting these things together and writing patterns was something I really enjoyed. And I released Sock Anatomy, and then I was supposed to go back to work, but I kind of didn't, and then I sort of grew it from there. And for a long time I was like, I didn't really think of myself as a knitwear designer, and I didn't really even know like what was going on. I was like, oh, like how did I end up here? But now I'm designing quite a lot. I do editing and writing, and yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. Like I love it. But I really love the teaching. I did a lot of teaching in Edinburgh. I used to sort of teach with Ginger Twist Studio. I can't remember anything. I'm like, yes, I used to teach, and I taught at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and that was fantastic. And then when we moved, I like lost my teaching because we moved to a new city. There was no yarn shop. I'm not sure how we went. Well, I didn't make that decision, obviously. Yeah, so it's been sort of quite a journey, but yeah, it's all sort of coming together now, and I sort of feel a little bit more like less lost and more like I know sort of where I'm going some days, and then other days, like most people, I have no idea what's going on.
Kind of one of those things you sort of make it up as you go along, and I think the idea that you can constantly reinvent yourself, and the idea that even once you're in something, you can constantly sort of reinvent where it's going and stuff. Because you're sort of picking a new sort of branding and ideas going forward, even now with your Australia move, and where you're wanting to go forward with. your own sort of brand. And
Yeah, so like 2016 has been quite a big year for us. You know, we're moving, but like that's not that big. Though it is big, but it's not huge. But sort of halfway through last year, I sort of felt a little like lost. You know, I think you sort of reach a point and you like look back and you're not sure how you got there, and you look forward and like, what on earth am I going to do? Where am I going? Who am I? So I did the Knit Share Love Knit Along, because I just wanted it to be sort of about like knitting and people and the things that I have learnt from the knitting community, and that really sort of sparked some ideas. So I've got sort of big plans to just pull everything together, really, to like neaten up who I am, what I'm doing, why I do it, what I love about it, because I feel I sort of know a little bit more. So so that will all come. There's lots of planning in the pipeline. It's been slowed a little because I'm one of those like overly ambitious people that doesn't actually think, you're moving, you don't have a house, you're going to be living in other people's homes, so you're going to have loads of time to do loads of really practical things, and you should, it doesn't work like that. So but it's definitely coming, probably in the autumn or the spring, because now I'm having to learn about the crossover of the seasons.
Yes.
So it'll be for winter here, and winter in Australia. There'll be lots of new exciting things.
So watch the space.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like not any huge changes. Like I'm not gonna, but just sort of a refining and it's gonna be good.
Some cool things to come. Yeah. Anything else interesting you're working on at the moment you want to tell us about? You've got a couple of collaborations with.
So I really love collaborating with people. It's something I really love about this industry, because it can be, in a strange way, quite lonely. Like you work on your own as a creative. You work on your own. You come up with ideas. You think they're great. Then you think, oh no, they're terrible. Then you like put them out there in the world, and it's quite scary. So sometimes it's nice to have like a creative person to sort of collaborate with and bounce ideas off. So I've done a lot of work with Ginger Twist in the past. So like the tea collection, which came out last year, and Neighbourhood Sheep Society, which is currently running at the moment, and that's like a project about rare breeds and something quite close to mine and Jess's heart. So that's sort of ongoing, and we've got really, really amazingly exciting big plans for Neighbourhood Sheep 2017.
Okay.
So the first one in my life, I'm like, and I'm going to do this in 2018, and then I'm like, wow. But, so Neighbourhood Sheep is going to have lots of stuff happening towards the end of the year, and then I've also got the Knitting Goddess. So she, if you're not familiar with her, she's a UK dyer, she's a fantastic UK dyer based in Yorkshire. She has a really wonderful range of colours. She's got sort of like bold and quite saturated. She does have some muted, but she's got those sort of really clear colours that sort of really sort of stand out, but aren't really brash. It's not like really bold colours. That didn't make much sense, but I think people will see. And she does great self-striping, but she does a sock club every year, and last year she approached me. I was a little blown away, and she said, did I want to design for her sock club? So Rachel Coopy, like sock designer extraordinaire, does one club, and I do the other, and this year's theme is about blue and the sky. So all of her yarns have blue added, so it's like a colour plus blue. And I sort of picked the sky and travel because it fitted with what was going on in my life. So we've had 2 come out. The other one came out the day I arrived here, 2 days ago. So it comes out every 2 months throughout the year. The first ones, you can see them on Ravelry if you want to have a look at them. So at the moment they're just club patterns, but they will come out individually. And then you can still buy, like she does, one thing I really like about Joy's Club is she does a year, but she also does individual ones, which is nice because some of us don't have like huge amounts of funds to commit to something for a whole year, so you can pick and choose and see. So that's happening at the moment, which is exciting. So that's my
I'll put links to all of this in the show notes, so people are interested they can go and have a look.
I should have brought the socks, but I didn't. Because I brought like enough knitting to possibly stay there for about 2 months, but I didn't bring the socks. Sally said when I arrived at the airport, because I flew in instead of driving down from my in-laws, that her husband had thought that I'd just be travelling with a small bag, and Sally was like, no, she'll have a huge bag, and I did. I had a huge bag. My mother-in-law was like, what have you got? And I was like, like fabric and sewing and my sewing book and like knitting, and I've got like garments worth of knitting and a shawl's worth of knitting and 2 pairs of socks, and I'm only staying for 4 days.
But you never know. You never know which one we're gonna, what we need to do and what we might achieve. Because we did plan to do quite a bit of sewing when you were here.
Yeah.
We probably haven't done as much as we thought. We have. We both said we were going to do, when we went to that fabric shop that I told you about in the last podcast, I bought material there for the washi dress. Claire bought some material for some tops, and she was going to get material for her washi dress, and we were going to do the washi dress sew along that was on Instagram. So we both were all ready to start the washi dress sew along. I just got really intimidated. I don't know. I did the muslin top, trying out the top thingy, and then I don't know. I don't know. I sort of got behind on the steps, and then Claire says to me, "Well, why don't we do it together when she is here?" So I thought, well, that's a brilliant idea. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we're sort of getting there.
We did. We cut out yesterday.
Yeah, you were far more organised than me. I haphazardly cut out on the first day I was here while the kids were all running around, and I was having, we getting ready for dinner, and I was having a glass of wine and just, cutting the pattern. And I was like, I don't know if this is quite sewing. But then we cut out yesterday the fabric.
Yes.
And, And I sort of got carried. I did do I got very carried away. I don't have a sewing machine. Well, actually, my sewing machine's right over there. Because I sold it to Sally when I left. It's been interesting sort of travelling because we've moved so much, and every time we move, we really downsize and get rid of all of our stuff. So everywhere we go, someone's either got my mother-in-law's got all our old tablecloths and stuff that people bought us for our wedding that we couldn't take with us. So I sit down for dinner and I'm like, oh, isn't this
nice.
ours? And then I come to Sally's house, I'm like, oh yeah, that's my sewing machine. And I go somewhere else and I'm like, oh, that's our this, that, and the other. So so I didn't have a sewing machine. So when I arrived at my mother-in-law's, I was like, I really want to sew. But I don't know if you do this or if anyone else does this, but when you don't have enough time to do things, I'm terrible at being I really want to knit. So I don't have enough time to knit because I've got a deadline or I'm doing something else. So obviously the solution is to buy more yarn because that's totally going to knit itself and be amazing. So I'll find I really want to knit a garment. So instead of sitting down and knitting a garment, I find those garment patterns, buy them, buy the yarn, and then be I can't knit these, I don't have time. So I did the same with sewing. As I was I really want to sew, but I don't have a huge amount of time because I actually realised that it's harder to sew than you think because you have to set it up, and then small children have this way of getting in the way of doing things.
That's the big thing. It's not, you can't do it as easily, excuse me, in between everything else. You have to set up a sewing table. You have to have somebody cut out the fabric. The table has to be sort of clean and not full of kids' cereal food everywhere. And then it's scissors and pins, and they love to get into that sort of thing. And I find a lot. I mean, it must be nice to have a sewing room to kind of go in and have this whole sewing room, and then close the door, and then it can all just stay there until you come back.
With a really good light, because I was also, I thought I'd sew at night, but it's quite hard because you can't actually see. Yeah. Anyway, I did buy a lot of fabric and then realised that I really have to sew it. So I discovered I had this book, the Merchant and Mills book. It's backwards.
No, it will be the right way around, I'm
not used to the camera.
It will all be the right way around.
Okay.
On the screen.
So I got this as a super treat for myself when I left the UK, and it's got really, really, really nice patterns in it. I kind of want to make myself a whole wardrobe, and then swan around in linen, all relaxed and calm without a child hanging off my leg, because this is the dreamland that I live in. But I did find this top, which is very me, it's really sort of my style of the sleeveless top. But a little bit of room, and I was quite excited about a woven top because I've started to realise that I just turned 35, stretchy vest tops aren't that flattering anymore, so I figured this nice A-line top, and I made it, and I was massively in love with it, and I was so proud of myself, and I was I've made a top, and I wore it
Had you made it just before you came here the first time?
I made it just before Maeve's birthday.
Yes,
Because
right.
like obviously the priority is when your kid's turning 3 is to like make yourself a top.
Yeah.
But I was really excited because on her birthday day, like I'd made her this koala cake, and we had a little, like just a small family party, but I had this top that I'd made and I was like so proud of myself. So then I made 5 more because it fitted really well.
Yeah,
It was
it
really,
looks
really
great.
comfy
It looks
and
great, yes.
yeah, so I made lots. So here I brought them to do my show and tell.
Great.
But it was
you're filling my finished object section because I have nothing I can show anybody at the moment, so this is great.
okay. So this is my finished objects section. So I made like this is shway shway from the shop that we that Sally and I went to and spent a long time in. I'm just going, wow, there's so many colours. I don't know what to do. And I try to sort of, anyone who knows me will know that I'm like big on grey. Like this top I knitted, big on grey. Everything is grey, and I try to sort of step out of that. I think the sunshine helps a little bit. You know, like when the sun is shining, bright colours and African fabric. So I also got this one, which is very, very bright and colourful. Sally convinced me it would be okay.
But it looks great on you. I mean, you're wearing it when I fetched
Yeah.
you from the airport, and it looks really fantastic. It looks really nice.
So I did that, and then I did a black one and a blue one and another one. Yeah, so I got quite carried away. But they fit well, and I sort of feel like if you find something that works, just play more. Yeah, so that was that. Yeah, and then we're going to sell our washi dresses. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to do. I want to actually make 2 washi dresses, but I want to see how the first one works.
I've got fabric for Rachel. Rachel wants one as well. So I must admit, I find sewing so intimidating. And people say sewing is so much easier, and the finished object is quicker in a way if you kind of sit down and cut it out and sew it, and etc. etc. But there's so much less room for error. There is just, once you've cut, I was having a panic yesterday cutting my fabric. Once you've cut it, it's not like knitting where you can just frog it if it's wrong, and if you cut it wrong, then that's kind of tickets. But hey, it is, in the end of the day, it's still just fabric, and I mean, unless it's like the most expensive fabric in the world, you can get some more, and if the worst comes to worst, I can make some project bags.
Well, that's what I keep thinking. If I cut something wrong, then I can make a small human size something.
Exactly.
I made some shorts, the Pearl Soho City shorts. It's like just the most amazing kids pattern. Maeve loves them. They're brilliant. And they use the tiniest little bit of fabric at the front, like 2 little panels, and the back is just like a thin, fine denim. But yeah, like super cool. Really, yeah.
My mum always sewed. My mum sewed a lot of stuff. My mum can sew and knit and do all of these things. And then it really sort of went out of fashion for a while. When we were, I mean, I learned to do all of these things, but they certainly weren't cool at all. And it certainly wasn't in any way fashionable to let anyone know that you could sew or knit or any of these things. And there's a great resurgence almost in the crafts and handmade wardrobes and sort of owning the fact that you can do crafty things and make stuff for yourself. And that's quite nice actually. So I'm hoping to get braver and get more into sewing and sew a few more things, because there is some really nice stuff out there.
Yeah, there's some really beautiful things, and some really beautiful fabrics. Like I'm super excited about that. So I'm looking forward to Me Made May. Actually, last year I didn't do anything for Me Made May.
Okay.
But I'm looking forward to Me Made May. I'm going to have lots of nice things. I need to get a sewing machine in Australia, so I'm going to have to go from Gumtree.
Yeah.
A second-hand sewing machine.
Yeah.
Priorities, like obviously I also need a fridge and a washing machine and sensible stuff. I'll just sit in an empty flat with like no fridge and a sewing machine.
Sounds like a good plan. Yeah.
So.
I think what I'm the most intimidated with sewing, I guess, is that, and I know it's like knitting, you have to learn where you make adjustments for yourself, how you make something fit for you. And I am much taller than the average woman. And so I'm much taller from shoulder to underarm, and I'm much taller in the body length. And so what I noticed when I made the washi dress muslin is that, I really have to allow quite a lot more length. Which I think when I cut the dress, I put way more length on. So I think I'm actually going to have a lot extra when it cuts a big section off. But I'd so much rather cut a bit off, and I bought extra fabric anyway, than land up with it too short or too tight across my back. That's a big thing. Too tight across my back and not enough sort of length in the front. So I've added on all over the place extra bits, and so
Yeah.
we'll see how.
We'll let you know.
We'll see how it turns out. Yeah.
I think it'll be okay. There'll either be pictures of us on Instagram looking really proud, or pictures of us on Instagram in like rather strange dresses.
Yes.
Don't
yeah.
fit.
Yeah. Or you're gonna see me with that really nice fabric with a whole range of project bags, and then you'll know. And don't say, just say those are really nice project bags.
Oh, you've got a lot of the same project bag. Brilliant. Great. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a collection coming up at some point. I've shown the yarn before, the 2 grey colours that we're working on, and we're going to sort of focus on the theme of friendship and travelling and different parts of the world, and so we'll have more of that as that goes along. So that's quite.
Yeah, that's me. We're going to share our little sections of beach, because apparently I'm into the beach.
Yes.
I've been house hunting across the continent, which is
and across the time zones, which
across
really
time zones and continents,
Yes.
and oceans, and
for any woman, well, for anybody actually, thinking about the other half house hunting in a different time zone in a completely different country to you, and not having a panic. So this morning when I woke up, my sort of first question to Claire was, had her husband been to see the houses, and was any of it any good? And she had to stop herself waking up at 3 a.m. to check.
Yeah, it's terrible, because there's only a short window of time when it's like morning here and late afternoon there, when I can actually get him to do sensible things like find out exactly what's going to happen. Sometimes he needs prompting, but it's been interesting. So I saw some pictures today. I'm trying not to get too excited, of like this really cute small little place. Like we can't get much at the moment, but near the beach, which would be interesting for me because I grew up in Joburg.
Yeah.
So there ain't no beach in Joburg.
Yeah. And I mean, I obviously live near a beach here, so
yeah. So we're going to have our little beaches.
That's going to be quite exciting. Sort of coming up for the autumn.
Yeah, that'll be
winter.
soon. Yeah. When the cold weather arrives.
That's right.
So it's slightly hard to imagine that here at the moment, but
it is a bit.
It will be cold soon, and I've been assured by Melburnians that it's going to be cold soon, and I'll be wearing a sweater. So we'll see.
No, we did something quite exciting on. When did I fetch you? Monday. Tuesday. Claire and I went to see a South African indie dyer called Cowgirl Blues, based in Cape Town, and that was actually a really wonderful meeting. I'm going to do a full podcast with her at some point, but Bridget's really dynamic and lots of energy and vibrant and finger on the pulse, and I really enjoyed meeting her. It was wonderful to see what she's doing, and I think you'll see as I'm going to do an interview with her, and some stuff's coming up on your blog. Have you done that yet?
Yeah, no, the blog is a little bit neglected at the moment. So I took loads of photographs. I've got some ideas for that, and actually I've got some yarn. I treated myself because I don't have any yarn, and I have oodles of time. So that whole garment thing I spoke about, I've got a complete knit crash on Bristol Ivy. Her designs are amazing, and I love how she puts things together. So she recently released a cardigan called the May cardigan with Quince & Co. And it's Quince's mohair merino lace weight. So I couldn't get that, but I did get this. Now I have to do that. Learn how to make the camera focus. No, I'll give it to Sally. Sally's a pro. Okay.
Oh, see, even I go the wrong way around. You need to hold it
so it's called Blueberry, and it's just this beautiful blueberry colour. I'm a little obsessed with the idea of indigo at the moment, and indigo dyeing. I really want to learn to do some indigo dyeing at some point this year, maybe later in the year. And this colour just really sort of spoke to me, so it's really, really pretty. And the cardigan is really interesting. It's a bottom up construction with sort of the bands go around to the back of the neck, but it's really simple and it's just really beautiful lines. So I'm really I'll get Sadie to link it in the show notes, but I'm really excited about that. And Bridget just has the most amazing array of colours. like these some really sophisticated, like sort of beautiful grown up colours, but also bold, sort of vibrant, rich shades, and fantastic South African yarn, like beautiful South African bases, beautiful merino, which South Africa is so well known for. So yeah.
And interesting how many of the bases are the base of other big brands.
Yeah,
as well, which is really interesting. People don't always realise that there is a limited number of places that make yarn, and that a lot of the bases overseas are used by a lot of people, and so it was quite interesting to see some of those. So she's got some really beautiful bases, and we're both going to be doing some design work with her, different projects, but so that's quite exciting. That's going to be coming up too. She's in, did she say she's going to Norway, Denmark?
She's going to Scandinavia. I think she's going to
she said Sweden as well,
which is a big trade show in Germany or something, I think. So but and her yarn is, I think you can get it. I know you can get it at Loop. So you can. And
you can get it in the Netherlands too, definitely.
And she's opening an online shop. She was saying, we were talking about opening her online shop, which will be soon. And then you can buy it from overseas.
And you can get it in Cape Town if you're here, either going to her little studio or at the watershed. There's the big Victorian Alfred waterfront, which is kind of like a shopping. It used to be the old docks. When I was a kid, we used to go with my grandfather to the docks to watch the boats come in, and it was just a working dock. There was nothing there.
Oh, wow.
And they've now made it into the fancy hotels, and there's an aquarium, and it's all very posh. And there's a kind of a permanent flea market. That sounds
like
so
a marketplace.
But it's quite nice artisan stuff, more sort of upmarket. And she's got a permanent stall there with her yarn as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Actually, the watershed, so we went down, we did a few touristy things in Cape Town while we were visiting. The aquarium is like grand if you come to Cape Town, but the watershed is amazing. And next to the watershed there's a great like food market that just has beautiful, really, really nice sort of quality food. And
organic foods and interesting coffees and
juices
and cheeses, chocolates and teas.
I was very excited by the
craft beer. There was lots of craft beer.
Yeah.
You know, kind of just artisan food market, artisan breads, lots of very interesting things.
Yeah, and some really beautiful things in the watershed. Some really, really beautifully made things. There was actually a guy who was making animals out of recycled flip flops.
Oh right.
So he was like
I haven't seen that.
Bonding all the flip flop bit, rubber bit at the bottom of the flip flop together, and then like carving it.
Oh wow.
So like he made like a solid rubber block and then carved it.
Oh, cool.
This is amazing. I've never done video before, so I talk with my hands all the time. So when I did the sock surgery last year, I'd always be like, and then you do, and then I realised that no one could see, but now you can see that I manically just wave my hands all the time.
But you know what I like listening to audio as well, but I'm a very visual person. So I find half the time with audio stuff, I wanted to go and see what they were talking about. So I constantly had to jump between the show notes and pictures and go into Ravelry and click the pattern they were linking to, and I wanted to see the yarn colour they were talking about. And I like seeing people wave their hands and use their face and their expressions and the whole lot. And so I know that audio can be good if you just want to sort of, a lot of people on public transport or sort of plug and play and do something else and that sort of thing is quite nice. But I must admit, I do like the visual thing. Once you get over the fact that when you're recording, you're talking to yourself in a screen, which is a little bit disconcerting. I think Claire had to get used to that. But
I feel a bit better today because we did the PomPom thing that you'll see just now yesterday when Rachel was here, and I was horrified. Like in the afternoon, I was like complete stage fright. Oh my goodness, I'm looking at myself on a computer and I can't get my head around this.
It really gets easier. I mean, my first couple of podcasts, there's a definite change to how I am now. I'm way more relaxed now, and I think also what I said to Claire is, as your audience grows, I know who I'm talking to. So although I can see my face there, I also know everybody behind the scenes. I know the main following. I know the people that ask questions. And so I do feel more like I'm actually talking to you guys, although you're actually going to see this much later. So, I have I started a section recently called Over to You, where I've let people actually, it's sort of a free-for-all. You can do whatever you like in the over to you section. So if somebody, for example, wants to video themselves where they are and share a bit of their part of the world, but they don't want to do a whole podcast, they just want to do a little insert, that's cool. They want to show some photographs of a finished object they're really proud of and talk about it, or they want to send in a question or anything. So over to you is really literally over to you. So I have a question this time. We were talking about it earlier, actually. So I have a question from my friend Elaine, and she's Krimfarki Z on Ravelry and Instagram, and she was asking, is there a DIY way to block without blocking wires for perfectly straight edge? The answer is yes. In two sort of sections, without any kind of wire or anything at all, you're going to need a lot of pins. You're just going to need loads and loads and loads of pins, because you're going to have to be able to pull your edge straight and pin it along there. And if you're going to pull it down at all, it's always going to make that little smiley face between your two pins. So you just have to have enough pins that you can pin along a straight edge. And if you're pinning a straight edge and you're not needing to aggressively block something out, you don't have it that much. But so you need a ruler, you need a very straight line or a straight edge that you're pinning across, and then it's just lots of pinning. And every time, if you do pull it out flat, just to see if you've got any smiley faces, and then just put that back up again. It's the kind of only way to do it totally without blocking wires. You also get blocking pin thingies that I'll get. They're just in the cupboard here. Again, these obviously require some sort of purchase, but they come like this, and they are very sharp. So be careful, because this can
I've never seen those.
Sally got them for me for Christmas. They are very sharp, so you can do yourself a bit of damage, and you get the half size one as well.
Goodness.
So obviously, a set of those all in a row like that, you can get a pretty straight edge with that, But with pins, you're wanting to copy that sort of idea as well. You're wanting, this just gives you the straight line too. So you're just wanting to make that sort of straight edge. Another DIY way to do it is that you can get from the hardware shop, you can get welding rods. And there are a couple of blog posts, and I'll try and find, because I know when I went to go and get, there is a very specific thing that I eventually sent the link to the geek, and then he phoned the welding place and asked for the right thing. You have to get something that's uncoated. And then you get these long welding rods, and if you get the right thing that's uncoated, they're strong enough but stretchy enough, but they're not coated. You don't want it to be, I think it's called galvanized or something. You want it to not have that stuff on it, because basically you don't want it to mess on your knitting, But it needs to
but it needs to be steel, so it doesn't rust.
It needs to not rust, but it needs to be not whatever it is. And I will find the link that I used, and you can get that. And then as long as you get some metal sandpaper, you can cut them to lengths that you want, and then you just sand the tips, because otherwise they'll catch on your lace, and that works too. Or you can buy blocking wires too. They can be expensive. I guess like the blocking pins, but
they're a bit of an investment though. I think the kind of thing, it's difficult, but like good knitting needles and good blocking wires are a good investment. So if you can save up and invest in them, and then you look after them, they last for ages, and they really do make a difference.
I guess it depends what you're making and how much. Are you making hats, for example? Maybe your main thing you make is hats, or
then you need a bag of balloons.
Then you just need balloons, or maybe you're making little garments that you can block, but you can lay it out flat, and as long as you can, you don't have to, unless you're really aggressively blocking something. And I know blocking lines are very nice to make very straight lines on garments and button bands and things like that, but they're not as essential. Whereas if you're blocking a big lace shawl, of course, then you're wanting to pull sort of in all directions and get that really nice. And then blocking wires are a good investment, because they make the finished product. They make the effort that you've put into it worth it in the end, and it makes that really nice straight lines.
I think as well, if you've invested the time and the money in buying the yarn and invested all that time in making a lace shawl, it's definitely worth, if you can afford to, or save up, or get someone to treat you for your birthday or something. But they're reasonably affordable. You don't have to pick the most expensive ones. And my recommendation would be to try and buy a mixed set. It really depends what you're doing, but if you buy a mixed set, it gives you much more flexibility. So yeah, and you can always sort of pin them together. You can put sections in together and double them up. So yeah.
Oh. So that's my our sort of blocking DIY tips. There is another thing that you can do that I've seen where you thread a waste yarn through something, and then you use that to help you create the straight line.
I just had a really, really random thought. But you get that like strimmer cable, or like some kind of like fishing cord. I wonder if you were looking for sort of a DIY solution that you needed. I wonder if you could go into the hardware shop and buy like a plastic cord, something that's sort of flexible but rigid, and then weave that through, because then you can weave it through at a very close to avoid that puckering.
Yes,
and then pull it out and then stretch in and then pin into that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm sure that you probably just have to look in the hardware shop nearest to you and find something. You want something that's not going to rust, something that's reasonably fine but reasonably rigid but flexible. Really easy stuff to find. But that would be another thing, because it does the same job of creating a sort of an even tension over the knitting.
And the other thing that you can think about is block with some consideration to anatomy as well, because your shoulders when you wear a shawl are not dead straight, and there's very seldom that when you wear a shawl it's going to go straight across the top of you. So even if you I kind of often block the bottom. If I'm doing a triangular shawl, I often block the bottom out very much, but I don't mind a natural coming in at the top, because when you're wearing it around at your neck, it does come in naturally. So you can block sort of those bits a little bit towards your own sort of anatomy and fit and things like that. The
other thing I found with blocking is that yarn will bounce back when it dries, so you can do sort of like a block at the beginning, and then as it's sort of half dry you can sort of bring it in, and maybe you can sort of block your straight line. But if you have some of those little lips, take the pins out before it's completely dry and just smooth them down, but you'll still have had the benefit from pulling them. I suppose it depends where you're blocking things. In South Africa it dries so fast that like you might not have time, but in the UK, see, I learned this when I went to the UK. I was like, I get to wear all my hand knits, but it takes a week for anything to dry.
Oh, really?
Whereas like I knitted a thick cardigan in Cascade Eco, and it's called Common Ground, and it's got like a lovely garter stitch at the top and just a simple eyelet. It's an open cardigan. I actually started knitting it because my idea was that I would wear it at night when I was feeding Maeve when she was really tiny, and that never happened. But I did have it ready for when I got to. See, I've moved so much I can't even remember where I'm going. When I got to Edinburgh, and I was so excited, and I blocked it, and then I realised that in October in Edinburgh, in a really cold, damp flat, nothing dries. It literally took a week to dry.
Oh goodness.
Whereas here, I did some socks and I wanted to dry them for a photo shoot, and it was brilliant because I just put them outside in my in-laws patio, and I went back like an hour later to check how they were doing, and they were completely dry.
Yes.
Whereas I spent not hundreds of pounds, a lot of money and a lot of electricity drying socks in front of this little dry heater, like moving the socks around and turning them around all through the winter, mainly because I was always late. My deadlines. I'd be like, I need to post this tomorrow, and it's not dry, and it won't dry, and it's freezing cold. There's
that sort of catch-22. If we can dry the stuff really well here, but we don't get to wear it for as long, and then when you do get to wear it, you can't dry it.
I once heard someone say that you can dry things in the oven at a really low temperature. You can dry your socks in the oven.
Really?
Desperate times, folks. Desperate times call for desperate measures.
I would be the person that messed it up, and somehow my socks would catch fire, or there'd be this.
You were coming home like, what's for supper? A burnt sock. The kids would just be like, Mom, we can't eat a burnt sock.
Yeah, no, that might be a step too far. So you might be wondering, this episode is called The Perfect PomPom, and we haven't spoken all about pom-poms, but there is an insert that we alluded to, which we recorded yesterday with Claire teaching Rachel and I to make the perfect pom-pom, and that pom-pom maker is the absolute bomb. I am just dead chuffed with that. So I am going to insert our little pom-pom episode now. Okay. welcome to our PomPom insert. As you can see, we have added Rachel into the podcast, although this is actually recorded before the one that Claire and I are going to record tomorrow, but you'll see it later, so it'll make sense at some point. So this is our how to make the perfect PomPom insert tutorial with the PomPom expert, although you told me you're not the PomPom expert, but the real PomPom expert is in Edinburgh.
The real PomPom expert is Jess at Ginger Twist Studio. But she's not very generous with her pom-pom skills. I've tried a lot to get her to make me pom-poms, but she never does.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, so in the light of the fact that we can't import Jess all the way from Edinburgh just to make pom-poms for us on demand, because she won't even make them for you in Edinburgh on demand, we're going to have to do the best we can. So.
And she doesn't like the heat. She wouldn't like it here. It's too hot.
All right.
No, she likes the cold.
No, that's not going to work then.
No.
So we had a couple of hats that needed pom-poms, and so did Claire. So we thought it was a great opportunity to do pom-pom tutorials. Right, now you've got a doohickey, a gadget.
Really?
A thingamabobby.
I do. Rachel's been exploring the thingamabobby.
No, this is clover, is it?
Right. It is. These are clover ones. So they come in all sorts of sizes. These, I think this is the like large and the extra large.
Okay.
But they come in like tree size. Quite literally, it makes like a pom-pom. I don't really know what you do with it. And little itty bitty ones and hearts.
Oh right.
Yeah.
So fancy. Those in South Africa will need to let me know that have like fancy yarn places like Arthur Bales and stuff. Can we get these here in South Africa? I don't actually know. Someone will need to let me know if we can actually get these here. Whereas overseas, I'm sure you people are like, yeah, well, whatever, we know about those. So
I think they're made in Japan.
Okay.
But I know that you get them everywhere. Well, in a lot of places.
Everywhere is not always the same as you get them in South Africa. But anyway,
no.
I remember making pom-poms with my mom. We used to cut the 2 pieces of cardboard and the hole in the middle, and then you had to thread the yarn in and out. So we've
moved on from cardboard.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we're now moving to plastic. You know,
so
not recyclable.
Teach those in Africa, deepest darkest Africa, how we make a pom-pom with this clever doohickey.
So you can start it off by making a dinosaur, which is what my daughter thinks that they are. It's a dinosaur, like sort of like that. But really, what you do is it sort of comes apart.
Oh wow. Okay.
Sorry, I'm getting used to the video.
It's backwards.
I'm not very good with videos and backwards, and so you'll have to bear with me. So it does all come apart.
Have you ever made a pom-pom, Rachel?
Yes, but it all fell apart on me.
Did you do the cardboard ones?
I did it with your funny pom-pom thing that didn't work.
Alright.
I was like, what kind of like childhood have you given her that she's never made a pom-pom?
No, I made pom-poms normally.
Okay.
With the cardboard.
With the cardboard thingy, okay. Alright.
Okay. So the theory is that you wrap all your yarn around this section and oh my goodness. And around this section. I'm really not very good with left and right. Yeah. So here's one I made earlier. See how good I am.
Oh my word, you are on the ball.
I am. So we wrapped.
Oh, so you open it.
So you open it like this, but the two together. So you know, like if you've got cardboard, you have your 2 pieces of cardboard sandwiched together.
Okay.
Because you need to put your yarn through the middle to make it all come together.
So you open it like this, wind this side, blah, blah, blah,
like this.
Okay. Okay, well I've got, remember this hat that I did,
by Woolly Wormhead.
There we go, that's what I couldn't remember.
I'm useful. I might not know the difference between left and right, but I'm good with patterns.
The Woolly Wormhead painted, was it Painted Hats collection? Yeah.
Oh, is it Quinn then?
I don't
Quinn's
know.
an old one.
This is the one from the painted, remember the hand painted, woolly toppers. And so this is going to make a pom-pom too big for this hat. How do you know which size is right for your hat?
Well, it depends how big you like your pom-poms, you know. Some of us like them big.
Is this going to be too big?
That's going to be huge. I think this is probably a better.
Okay, but I can see the theory behind it.
So, in the same way we were talking about dresses and being able to shorten, you can always trim your pom-pom like if it's too big.
Okay.
But
the theory is, I mean, I don't have to finish this. The theory is I take it and then I wrap it around this half.
Yeah, so like this.
Oh.
So you can like see how it's been wrapped around. So this one's already been finished. Oh my goodness. This one's already been finished. I will get used to this at some point. There you go. And then this side, we're going to wrap it.
Okay.
We should have 3, and then Rachel could be wrapping, but you can't be a rap star right now, Rachel.
Should you hold the yarn double? Does it then go quicker?
Oh, so I'm holding the yarn double because I'm
you've got
making
double
a
colour.
double colour one for a striped hat. But
Should you hold it double? Does it? I mean, does it
You
make a
could do, I
difference if you do or
suppose.
don't? Like the inside and outside of the ball of yarn.
yeah, I suppose it would go faster. You kind of, the important thing to remember is you want it really even, and I think this is where I often fall flat with mine, is that I get distracted and then I put more in the centre than on the edges, because it's easier to focus, because it's natural that you wrap more on there, and then it ends up a little rugby ball-ish shaped. Which, not that I have anything against rugby balls, but it's not really what we're aiming for a pom-pom.
No.
So it's like this bit here where the ridge is, you want to sort of make sure you get bits down
Because
there. I think that's
between
what
here and here, there's going to be a bit of a gap, isn't there?
No,
not so- not so much.
because they fit
Okay.
so flush. As long as you
Okay.
make sure that you get yarn down that bottom bit. Now, I'm a fan of a big, full pom-pom, so I think you should whack it on there. So they can be quite yarn hungry, but great for stash busting. Like if you have loads of yarn and you just want to use it up, make pom-poms, hang them in the windows. I actually have just remembered cutting out cardboard pom-pom shapes and forcing Liam to sit down, my husband, to sit down and make pom-poms for Sally's wedding.
You made pom-poms for the wedding.
Yeah,
That's
no.
right. I had heaps of pom-poms at the wedding, all the trees and around everywhere. We had loads of pom-poms.
Liam was pretty good at making pom-poms actually.
And you didn't even have a pom-pom maker yet.
No.
Jeez, my friends really love it.
Those were the days of South Africa where I just had cardboard.
Wow.
Okay, so here we are.
How do you know when it's enough? When it's just full? Yeah. Okay. Right.
When it looks full.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe there's some like real rhyme or reason, but
Okay.
you've seen how I cook, like
Throw it
yeah,
together. Okay.
just like, you know,
Until it
it
feels
looks
right.
it looks okay.
Okay.
But I would always err on the side of like more,
Okay.
because
So as much as you can fit on.
you
just
know,
keep it.
otherwise your pom-pom's going to look a bit like a overgrown tassel, and that's not really the look. I think. Well, that's not the look I'm going for. But I know some people aren't pom-pom fans, believe it or not. I'm always astounded, but
Do you don't
It's
like
true.
pom-poms, do you? You think they look a bit. Was it you that thinks they look
No,
a bit
it's
ridiculous?
Caleb.
Oh, was it
I
Caleb?
was like, why is she here for a pom-pom
Tutorial. She thinks that. Did you bring your licorice hat that needs a pom-pom?
Yep. I left it at Granny's
Okay.
house.
Oh, well,
I
that
took it
does
to
help.
Granny's house when I went to go
Okay.
sleep over, and I left it on the end.
Cool.
Anyway.
So now what you need is some really strong scissors, sharp and strong scissors, and you'll see that there's like a little sort of ridge here in between
Yeah.
the two pieces.
Yeah.
Like here, so where it, sorry, let me just borrow this. So where it splits, where the two pieces split,
Mhm.
you've wrapped your yarn around both, but you're actually going to cut down there.
In there. Okay.
Because that's where you then thread your yarn, which stops your pom-pom falling apart, which may have been the problem that you encountered.
Yes, I wrapped it all around and then I cut it. And then
thread the.
I pulled it out of the thing and then tried to tie it.
That's this. So I cut this now. Once I've done it,
Yeah.
one half.
Yeah.
Anywhere specific?
Yeah, because you just trim
Try
those
to
edges. Yeah.
To-
Top tip: if you don't have strong scissors, wedge it in and then get it down to the bit because they sharp here.
sharper
There you
down
go.
there,
See,
okay.
Claire's useful top tips.
Top tips.
Here we go.
Clear.
I feel like there's going to be loads of footage of me just looking really serious and concentrating on attempting to cut. Okay.
So, right.
Okay. Quickly wrap it before all of it comes out.
Okay. So then you have what resembles this. Now this bit is the bit where you quickly wrap it. Hold that for me. Thank you very much.
More was falling out.
Well, didn't it fall out?
If you let it fall out, Rachel, we will have to fire you
Mm.
as Chief Pom-Pom Tutorial Assistant. Okay, so then what you do, thanks, is you wrap the yarn all the way around and pull it, so now it's essentially tying all those strands together. And
How many times do you need to wrap it around?
I always wrap it like 2 or 3 times, and then I leave a nice long thread Oh, we must remember to talk about a tip for sewing it on as well. Okay. What we should say. And then you undo your dinosaur. Oh.
Do you pull it apart now?
And you
Oh my word! Oh wow!
you pull it apart, and then you go.
Shake, shake, shake. Voila!
So now you can see that like he needs a little bit of a haircut. You know, he's got a few stray bits here and there. So we're now going to cover the floor. But actually,
That's not bad.
it's not too bad. And I want to share. So you can see what I'm saying here is actually like, if you see here, it's quite full, like much fuller than here. It's a little sparse,
Okay.
like on the edges.
Mhm.
That's from not having as much on the edges as in the middle. So that bit is
You
really,
want to cut
really,
it.
really important.
You just have to
Don't
keep it tight.
move it.
You have to keep it tight
And then put it up like that.
and leave a long tail.
Okay. So
There's your other one.
so should I just
Cut now.
do I need separate pieces, or I can just knot on one side and not take it through and
No,
knot on the other
so
side?
what you do is you put it in. Have you put it through all the way around?
Yeah.
And then so you just put it around and then wrap
Oh.
that
okay,
long one
that's
around like that,
Right. Okay.
and then tie them there.
Okay. Okay. And then this is the bit I should leave the long
Yeah.
tail. And then. No. Would
Okay. So
You unhook the little blue bit in the
yeah. So you push that
push that one
it out
until it gets
that way,
the moment of truth.
Yeah.
that way, and then you push this one out the same,
And then you pull them.
and then
Supposed to be
Pull
the
this
stuffy
off.
body.
Oh my goodness.
and then I like to just hold the string and give it a good shake, just because and then take it in your hands like yep.
Look at that.
There we go. Yours is much rounder than mine. You see, I'm a good teacher, but
That is so cool.
okay.
That is so cool.
So, so just like thinking of pom-poms in different ways.
Yeah.
So there's the technique we'll do in a second where you use an iron to sort of like felt it. It makes it really like that really nice fluffy pom-pom.
Mm-hmm.
That's from sort of an iron. So it obviously works better with that type of yarn that's not superwash.
Mhm.
A superwash yarn has less likelihood to felt, but it will still give it that sort of texture. So we'll do that bit in a second.
So you can iron the ones that aren't made with fibre? I thought it was only the ones made with
No, you can. So what you do is you wet your pom-pom
yeah.
just slightly, and then you just with an iron. We'll do it in
Okay,
a second with our
cool.
ironing board. That's whatever
That's
that's.
the
Hey.
fibre.
Yeah, we'll do your fibre in a second. But then there's other things you can do to make sort of an interesting pom-pom.
Mhm.
So like combining different strands of yarn together, because
Okay.
pom-poms can be quite yarn hungry. So you might have like a hat and then a little bit of the yarn left from that. So you can grab some other yarn from your
Like
stash.
from your licorice hat, you don't have enough to make a full pom-pom. You'd have to
Yeah.
add something else in.
So you could do contrasting colours or complementary colours. I have quite a big obsession with adding mohair into things. I think
Okay.
this is also Jess and I. At the end of last year, we decided that mohair belongs with everything and that we're going to add mohair into everything. But so, for example, here I've got some strands of. So I've got 2 strands of sock yarn and then just a single strand of some kid silk mohair, and that will just make an extra fluffy pom-pom. So it's nice if you like a little bit of fluff. It's also nice
Cool.
if you want a fluffy pom-pom but you don't want mohair in your face,
Yeah.
because some people don't. Or the other option is just to combine like colours and textures together. So here I've got sort of 3 quite different yarns. I've got a merino silk, a Shetland and a Gotland.
Okay.
So, and that will make quite an interesting sort of texture. And then the one that I think Rachel's most interested in is fibre. And this is also credit where it's due, was Zoe from the Queen of Pearls in Glasgow taught me about this.
Alright. So we needed this one.
So, and really what you do is, I'll just sort of start off and then show, is you need, what do you call the stuff?
A flat piece of fibre.
No, but like, is this roving?
A braid.
That's a braid.
You're asking non-spinning.
This is a braid.
Braid. Yeah, but if you unknot
when it's
that,
unknotted, it's also called a braid. But when it's braided up like this, it's a braid.
Okay. Because can't you just get the fibre in a big bag?
You can, yes.
Says Clare, the expert of no fibre knowledge at all.
Everybody that spins is shouting at us.
I know, they're like, what? What's even wrong with you people?
So you need one that's in a braided.
Well, you need to be able to wrap it around your pom-pom maker. So in exactly the same way as you've done with your yarn, is you just wrap it around. So I'll leave that up to you.
Which side do you start wrapping from?
Doesn't matter.
Either side, but I tried to work systematically, so from one side to the other and then back again. And I'm going to start making a mohair delight. So we're going to call it the mohair delight.
Cool.
Is this enough from one side?
Let's have maybe I'd put a little bit more with the fibre to make it especially fluffy.
And then go through those middle bits where you went from there to there without. Okay.
This is very fibre consuming.
Yeah, it is. And if you want to do like a really, really fluffy felted pom-pom, like felting yarns,
another piece for the side.
or yarns that felt really well would be really good. So I'm trying to think of good examples, like people in the States, like Cascade felt really well. And in the UK, a really economical yarn for making great sort of felted pom-poms would be Drops. Drops Eskimo. I don't know if they get Drops in the States. Do they? Do you know? Yeah. No, anyway, it's like a roving yarn. It's not a plied yarn, and so it makes like cracking pom-poms.
I saw on there's a site here. Now, which one was it? It could have been Scarpy or no, I think it was actually Wool Hogs. Madeline from Wool Hogs. I think there's a roving yarn, that you can then either spin with or knit with. So that would be probably a similar sort of just an undyed one. So again, you could probably play with what colour you wanted your pom-pom if you had dyeing stuff.
Or what you could do is you could use the undyed roving, pencil roving, I think it's called, as the main body, and you could add a strand of like saffron or something to give it some colour.
That would be nice.
Or you could even do like a rainbow to make like a confetti rainbow pom-pom. I'm now getting slightly carried away. But says the woman who just loves grey, is you could make a rainbow pom-pom.
Claire's the queen of grey. But for pops of colour, I think that's a great way to do it.
Now do I have to cut my fibre?
Now do you cut it the same way?
If you want to make it into a pom-pom, you do, but I don't want to feel like you're under duress here to cut your fibre. Rachel doesn't sound very impressed.
And what do we need something to tie this with? Because obviously you can't tie that with.
This blue yarn would be okay, I think.
Is it working? You should push this through a little bit.
It's not super.
And
It's
before
super
anybody
super
shouts at us
super
because we
this is super wash.
Before anyone shouts at us, we're making a pom-pom from really nice stuff. She has actually spun half of this already, and we made all the little bluebirds of happiness for Sally's Christmas.
And I like spinning forward.
But it's not a waste to make a good pom-pom. It's not a waste.
At all. I can just see like a spinning purist being
horrified.
It's like making a pom-pom out of this gorgeous hand spun. This stuff smells amazing. I think I spent the whole podcast smelling it last time when I knitted the hat.
I love that.
It's amazing. Now this was, I couldn't remember how to say her.
I can spell it.
Yeah.
Snath,
Snath,
which is wrong.
Yeah.
She is on an island in the Outer Hebrides, and she lives here on this island and spins fibre. Her name's Susan Campbell.
She's not the one that's South African?
No.
There's someone that's South African.
No, she's originally from the States, I think, but she's lived on this island, and I wish I could remember what it's called. Actually, if you are in the UK and you've seen The Knitter, I did write I interviewed her for the Knitter. She
Okay.
was really interesting. She's really beautiful yarns. Like I got some grey hand spun, and then I knew that Sally had to have some orange hand spun, so I ordered the orange for her.
Even about, I've only got yarn left. Not very much, but got a hat and a gigantic PomPom. I am so chuffed. This is just the perfect size PomPom for my hat.
You should totally get your mum to bring you back some PomPom makers.
I must ask her to, if we don't get them here, if someone knows. Otherwise, I'll have to try and get some.
Someone should import them.
Oh, Mum, look at that.
That looks really
Because
cool.
mine stripes out because it
Oh,
was a strap
cool!
yarn.
Like a PomPom, polka dot PomPom.
It's like,
It still is not very pleasing cutting up.
It's gonna be a lot of footage of us cutting.
yeah, I'll cut.
You'll cut the footage of us cutting.
The board is cutting, yes. Except if you're making funny faces, then I'm leaving that in.
Me? No.
Anybody that's kind of cutting with a really concentrated face, I'm gonna leave that in.
Oh no, I'm really intimidated by this whole PomPom and not PomPom.
Don't worry,
Video.
Mum's never left any
Video.
funny faces in.
No, I just saved that for the front picture, don't I? I've got some classic ones of all this pink herring and PomPom.
I was looking quite horrified in the one front picture.
Well, you're often looking horrified at me. Oh, that is looking so nice.
She's gonna beat Big.
We're having a race.
I didn't know we were having a race. Now I feel I'm under pressure. I can't cut I'm always so scared of like cutting my hands or burning my hands because then I wouldn't be able to knit. It's like the horror. What would I do?
It's not the horror to me because then I'd have an excuse for not writing something in school.
Yeah, but what if you permanently couldn't?
Yeah, that would be terrible.
Then
But I mean, then you'd have to go to school and just sit there.
Then
and
I
be
could type
Don't think it's
with
very-
my toes.
Well, you could. You could learn to
Yeah,
write with your toes. I wonder if there's anyone who can knit with their toes.
Don't.
So I'm being really serious because
You can paint with your toes.
people do all sorts of things. People are amazing. They do all sorts of things with their toes. So I wonder if
Wasn't
there's...
Me and Tamsin tried writing with
There's a
our
lady
toes.
who knits one-handed.
Well, I was
She
going
used
to tell you
to-
what the lady that did one-handed knitting.
Melanie from... I know she's Melski. She got hit by a coconut or something.
That's right.
And it yeah.
How do you get hit by a coconut?
So you're standing under the tree and it falls on you.
Bad timing.
We damaged a nerve or something. So how do you knit one-handed?
No idea. She did sort of teach herself though, which is just fantastic. Like,
Wow.
I saw a video on YouTube with someone who could knit with one hand knitting, one knitting, and one hand knitting the other. So they were doing 2 projects at once.
No.
really?
Oh,
Not like two-handed colour work, like two.
Not like stranding the same thing with
no, 2 different projects.
Then how would you hold it?
They were doing something, knitting in the round with something with their finger.
You know, there's the thing that the yarn heart, or you sold the teachers, is it you sold the teachers as well, where you put the one stick under your arm, like you can, if you've got a long
knitting
thing,
belt.
and then you can knit like the ladies in the Shetlands used
Yeah,
to
with
do.
the knitting belt.
Yeah, so I wonder if the one-handed knitting must be something like that, because you got to hold it surely somehow.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you tucked it under your arm, or if you had a knitting belt, then you could do the other hand.
So how will people knit with their toes?
Yeah, no, that I don't know.
Falkland is so stiff.
Well, no, I think it's just because it's wrapped tight.
Oh, my poor finger.
No, it is just stiff to spin as well.
Isn't it?
That's what I liked.
So have you spun loads of
hold
different...
that together, hold that together. Don't.
Well, it's hard to cut already.
Do you know what you should look at, Rachel? Is the Woolful 52 weeks of fibre spinning thing. Have you heard about it?
I couldn't do 52 weeks of fibre spinning because I'm at school half the time.
Oh. I don't know. Everything has to go back to school, hey?
You come home from
Just
school, you do homework.
Yeah, Rachel's a bit traumatized by this whole
Rachel's
school
very
thing.
traumatized. I have to say that I saw Rachel's school this morning and it's pretty sweet deal. You wear
Right on the
flip-flops and
beach.
shorts on the beach. It's like nothing like when I went to school.
Yeah, no, I know.
So my levels of sympathy, Rachel, are quite limited. No, but I meant to look at it for like improving your knowledge. You don't need to do 52 weeks of spinning. She's spinning a different fibre like every week.
And has she got a video podcast?
No, it's Woolful, the audio podcast.
Okay.
But it's on her blog. So
Okay.
maybe like on the weekends when you finished your homework, you could have a look at the different fibres and people are sending her different fibres. Please, ladies, no danger. So here's the mohair, and is this what you do? Oh, check me, I'm like a pro now.
You're like a pro.
I even
If
got
it's
the
in
left.
the centre and then
I
you
even
go
got the
to
left-right business.
Wow.
I really shouldn't get too confident because something.
No, you should, because then you can do your own video podcast when you get to Australia.
With my koala bears.
Yes.
You could have fake
Because
koala
there's loads
bears.
of koala bears in suburban Melbourne.
And kangaroos and stuff. Well, it's kind of like the elephants in my backyard. You know.
But you do have elephants in the back. Oh.
It's very common. Can I have the yarn now?
Oh, sorry.
Holding my pom-pom tight together.
Okay, just doing that.
This thing fails, I'm going to be so upset.
Oh no.
Wrap it round a
I
cup.
might have to make a hasty retreat. If there's no beginning bit of me in this podcast, you know it's that Rachel didn't forgive me for
Rachel
using her
killed me.
fibre and killed me. I do have some fibre that I brought with me. I actually packed
Came
fibre prepared all the way from the UK, Rachel.
Where is it?
I don't know. I had it. I was so organised. I'll go look for it. Hold on. That's
Oh.
ooh, just like I can just see like the arm from the top. Oh,
There you are.
Now do I have to remove?
have you tied it?
Should we try
Tight,
again?
super tight. If this is
Ooh. Ooh. Okay, we'll be tying it again.
You've got lots of fibre.
That was from.
This
that was
is-
from me.
this is a really
was it
long
for your
piece
birthday
that's
or for
going to be
Christmas? I can't
spun.
remember.
into a long thing gradient. This thing is going to split in half.
Oh, I want to
see?
see if I can open this.
Then I'm going to spin both pieces. I'm going to unwind it, and then I'm going to.
So do I open
spin
these
it
two
more.
from the one side together?
Or open them one at a time. Like open them however it works. It should be tied securely now.
Hopefully.
Or Rachel will never forgive you.
Yeah. That's why you made me do it, hey? Someone else to blame if it all goes wrong. Oh wow!
Give it a good loop.
Don't fall off.
Look at that.
What's that?
So,
So obviously it's trimming at those bits that.
but well, I think we should iron it.
Mom, I have a better idea than your pom-pom.
What?
She's found a way to steal your hat. You tried.
That's very cool.
So now, so you wet it because anyone who's ever done any felting will know that like heat. Well, anyone who's ever either felted on purpose or by accident, heat and water either go really well with wool or don't. And then we just want a really hot iron, and you just
Oh right! Oh wow!
just iron it.
On a cow.
And steam is hot. Now this is superwash wool, so it won't work as well. But it starts to. Takes a little bit of time, but you can sort of see how it's starting to like fluff up. I think the
Okay.
fibre one will be much better. Do you want to try it? Do you want me to try, or you want to
Yes.
try?
I will burn myself.
So you can see how. Look. And it's just about working it. I feel like I'm doing like one of those adverts where you buy like an iron that does all your ironing
Yeah, you
for
don't,
you
you
or
don't want to buy.
something.
Yeah, mine's half falling apart. I think.
But if your iron did all your ironing for you, yeah, so you can see that it's starting to be more like fluffed. It might need a little bit more water, but so, and then like it takes a little bit of time, and but you can already see how it's starting to fluff. You see how it's starting to sort of fluff together. I think this might be superwash, but
It wasn't supposed to be.
or maybe not. But yeah, so I would say this needs a little bit more water and a little bit more smooshing. See, so now you can see that this one needs to be trimmed, and you can see there how it was a little bit loose. So we just sort of trim the into more of a ball shape. Your best bet is to take a
How are you in here?
non-superwash.
How are you in here? Someone's arrived.
We have a guest.
There. No feet. Is it working? There's just a iron that's doing everything in with
A
everything.
magic iron in the corner.
I'll buy that.
Floating iron.
I'll buy that iron.
That's supposed to be.
Yeah, so it's starting to be more fluffy. Like there. And so you can see that it's much more rounded now.
That's very cute.
So we have a collection.
So what are you
Mickey
gonna make for
Mouse.
this? What are you gonna make for this pom-pom to go on, Rachel?
I think you need to do it an everyday brew. Shameless plug. A little bit more.
Mommy, I know. Not be you. You couldn't be a really nice happy then.
There we go. I'm really worried that Rachel's going to impress with her pom-pom. I'm quite scared.
But it's not felted.
But that's the idea.
It is
To make it
felted.
into a...
Oh, I thought you said it's not felted. Yeah, look, it's a cool felted round pom-pom.
But it's supposed to be loose like
No, well
pom-pom.
no, because this is
It's a
a
felted pom-pom.
501 Rachel. The whole idea is a felted pom-pom. So let's
There we go. Oh,
it looks like a world, a globe almost.
it does.
There we go.
And I'm taking the world.
So water and heat.
Mom, I'm fixing all the world's problems.
Oh, if only pom-poms could fix all the world's problems.
But that's
You can
looking
see-
I see, yes. That's looking
See,
good.
I'm channeling Jess. It's like, you just have to smash it. I think maybe this is how Jess deals with. She's actually not an angry person at all, but this is Jess's strategy.
Stress, like those stress ball thingies.
Yeah, though you do need to stress with caution, I think. So, like, you can see how that would be much.
Yay.
It's
There we go.
So that one still probably needs a little ironing, but or you
It's
might,
sort of fluffed out here.
yeah,
Oh.
or you might just want to keep it like that. This is,
I like that.
here, I'll let you do it. 'Cause I'm much better. You're much better than me. I'm really scared you're gonna burn yourself. And that's obviously got the fluff from the mohair. You might not want to make it all smushed. Technical term, insert.
Cool beans.
So yeah, what else was I gonna say? Yeah.
What's the spray for at the top?
Oh, we were going to talk about tying pom-poms onto hats, affixing pom-poms onto hats, weren't we? So, obviously, let's just finish smooshing this. There we go. Let's see. I quite like this sort of weathered pom-pom. It might not appeal to everybody, but I like the little weathered pom-pom. But you don't need to do the weathering. You can do the non-weathering.
And I'll put them all together and put the little orange
The
on
orange
there.
one. So there's the single yarn. So there's the weathered combination. There's the single yarn. And this one needs trimming a bit, but multiple yarns, single yarn, and a felted pom-pom.
There we go.
But when you're sewing them onto a hat,
So attaching them.
So attaching them. So I used to just use the yarn and thread it through the top of the hat,
Yeah.
and then sort of tie it, and then weave in the ends. But then actually what you find is you get like this loose floppy pom-pom, and like no one really wants a loose floppy pom-pom. And over time it pulls and stretches off. Okay, so what you actually want to do is take a darning needle or a tapestry needle, a metal one, because take a metal needle. I know sometimes people wind in their, weave in their ends with plastic ones, but it's much easier with a metal one. And actually force the metal needle up all the way to the top, through the center of the pom-pom,
Okay.
and then back down, and then again up and back down, and just give it a good solid tug. And I do that probably about 3 times, mainly because 3 is my favorite number, so I do a lot of things in the 3s.
Do you?
Yeah, I love 3. So if I have to pick something, I like, and there's no real reason why, it was always 3, or in multiples of 3.
And when you design, do you use that? No. Okay.
No. Then I worry about deep pieces of crown shaping and ribbing. Or like today, I just completely knit the random ribbing that makes no sense, because that's helpful. And then once you've done that, it adds like a real sort of solid feeling to it, and then weave in your ends. Alternatively, there's lots of other little things you can do, like if you have a reversible hat, so like is you can actually make sort of like a button fixture. I can't really explain it here, but you can sort of attach it so that you can put a button through, like pop it through your hat.
Mm-hmm. Someone said to put it on a safety pin, or like on a something that you could then.
You could. I think what you can do is
clip on and clip off.
I think you sew the button to the inside of the hat or something.
Yeah.
I have to look it up.
And then.
Oh, that's a cool hat. And then you can put your pom pom in and turn it around. So here we have a pom pom that Rachel made earlier. Like pom pom your head. This is a nice hat. Did you make this?
No.
My gran.
Ah.
And that's quite cute. If you've done stripes, then you can do all the colours.
Yeah. Actually, I should show the hat first properly, shouldn't I? Oh. So this is the little hat. And this is a little pom pom. It looks
Very
like
cute.
I can't remember. My school colours actually.
Oh, okay.
Though one thing I didn't think about is by felting it, it's dulled the colour of the red, so it doesn't match perfectly. But there you go. There's my little hat for a small human.
So that was our
Pom-pom.
pom-pom tutorial in. Okay, it's 1 o'clock, and we will see you tomorrow, which will be before this, and blah, blah, blah.
And yeah.
We'll see you. Mom and Claire will see you in.
Yes,
Rachel's
Rachel
going to school. We tried to convince Rachel not to go to school.
Not to go to school.
But she wasn't having any of it.
Podcast with us.
But she said she had to go.
Would you like me to come back on Friday and say, Mom, I've got loads of homework?
No, we're responsible adults.
We'll
We'd
send
like you to go to school.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
So I hope you enjoyed our pom-pom craziness. I haven't edited that bit yet, but I'm hoping to make it. It was merry chaos. The dog was in and out, and we didn't have So I'm hoping that it comes across really slick, and I managed to make us look really professional.
No one looked burned by the iron, which, to be quite frank, I was amazed that all 3 of us survived unscathed with the hot iron.
So hopefully I made us look really slick and professional, but yet still, because there were some really funny moments. So hopefully I managed to keep the flavour, it being really fun, but make us look like we know what we're talking about.
I think Rachel's recovered from the horror as well of her fibre. I think there were moments where she was horrified.
She was like,
not made her use her fibre to make.
Wasn't sure what we were doing with that. I think I'm gonna have to just make her a really, really nice hat to go with it, and then I think it's gonna look so cute.
Yeah,
so,
nice blue hat or something.
Yeah. What else do you want to tell us about before we wrap up and fetch Titus and the noise continues?
Okay, so I love it here actually, but it was really funny because I kind of, again, those things you forget. I thought, I'm escaping, like I've left the little one, she's going camping with my in-laws, it's gonna be like peace. And then I was like, no, because Sally has 3 children, and like they're not quiet. They're lovely kids, but they're not quiet. And 3 children, strangely enough, are louder than 1.
Yeah.
So so the house is like silent this morning.
And Claire said to me, it's so quiet.
It's really quiet. Before we go, well, I just wanted to say, so my blog's been a little quiet, a little sporadic of late, but I've got lots of plans and a sort of a new, fresh look and some exciting things. So pop and have a look for me on the internet at Yarn and Pointy Sticks. And then I've got a couple of things on Instagram that I love Instagram. It's my social media of choice. It's beautiful. I love seeing what people are doing.
It's visual, it's quick, it's inspirational. I found, just the washi dress, all these things. I've just seen so many things that I want to do and want to make and I'm inspired by and ideas and without getting bogged down with everything else that kind of goes on the internet. I just find it's such an inspiring medium.
So the first one is Knit Share Love, which comes from the Knit Along last year. And I love it when people tag their knitting works in progress, their finished objects, with Knit Share Love, because I love seeing what other people are making, and I love, that's what I really love about the knitting community, is the sort of aspect of sharing and learning from each other and drawing inspiration from each other. So if you've got anything interesting that you're working on, tag it with Knit Share Love. And then another project that's just starting off now, but I'm really keen to share with people, is Love Local Yarn. So it started here. My love of local yarn is not started here, but I've started sort of exploring yarn from where I've been travelling and sort of local yarn in the broadest of senses. I don't want it to be restrictive, so I've been sharing my knitting sort of adventures on the blog, and I've got a couple more posts to come, like going to Cowgirl Blues and learning about a South African dyer, and then yarns from the UK. I'm super excited to learn about all the yarns in Australia, the dyers and the producers, and look at what indie dyers are doing. So I really want to hear from people about their local yarn. If you have a farm down the road that makes local yarn, brilliant. But if you travel somewhere and you get a skein, we will buy souvenir skeins, tag it Love Local Yarn, and then we can all see what people are knitting with and working with and get inspired and hear stories. So and I did a couple of series on the blog about local yarn and things that I find inspiring about finding local yarn. So that's but I'd love to hear from folks, so that'd be grand.
I think for both of us, it's always been our engagement with other people and the kind of relationships backwards and forwards, and I think that's where you said this whole Knit Share Love really resonated with you, and hopefully when we do the sort of collection, we've always wanted to have something with a story behind it, about friendship, about knitting, about most of the time that Claire and I have known each other, we've lived on opposite sides of the world, and that hasn't mattered to the friendship because of the connection through knitting and but it's not just that, so it was a love born from a love of yarn and things like that, but that these kind of things with the internet and all the rest can we can share it. If you interested in knowing more about me, you might be I don't want to know any more, but if you do, I wrote an article recently, a short blog piece for Tangled Yarn, which is a shop in the UK, but I wrote something for Rachel about where I started knitting. You can find out about the Weird Australia story, about why I actually started knitting, and what knitting means to me, and why it's important and what it brings to my life, and quite literally how it changed everything about my life. So and I always love to find out about other people's knitting stories, which I think is why I kind of started that Over to You section, where I wanted people to have the freedom to share anything, their own story, just whether it's about yarn or not, whether it's your creative space, whether it's the place where you live that inspires you, whatever it is. So cool. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you so much for joining us. It's been really fun, actually.
I've tried to not do too many strange things, but thank you very much for having me. It's been good.
And you can follow Claire. I will put all the links to everything on the show notes. And you can follow Claire from there if you didn't know before. Those of you that do, obviously. This is Claire in person.
And by the time this goes out, I think I'll be in Australia. So if you're in Melbourne, give me a shout out, because I'm going to be looking for new knitting things. So
fantastic. Thanks for joining, and I will catch you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.